And I think that the reason why it impacted me so much is because it made me realize that our own musical growth, our own growth as human beings, is exactly the same way. If we were to look at the building every single day, like if you were to just stare at the building for an hour, that construction site, you would not see really any growth or any progress, or you'd see very, very little. But if you are just putting your head down and just doing the work every day, you look back and you say, holy cow, look how much I've grown. Holy cow, look how much that building has grown. And that's just how I've learned to look at my progress as a musician. Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. I've been wanting to record this episode for basically since I started the show a couple of months ago. It's been it's probably the most personal episode, other than the episode where I shared my story, and it's very close to my heart, this topic. And I'm just gonna start with a story. At BYU, where I go to school, the music building, or what used to be the music building, the Harris Fine Arts Center, had been around on our campus since the 60s. And, it kind of was the place where everybody would go to, either study music or art, film, whatever. Or the rest of campus would go there to get lost or play hide and seek, because the building was just like, the layout was insane. You would go down to the first floor and hope you would get out for graduation. And then, everyone under the sun met their spouse there for some reason. And I started, my first 2 years of school, were in this building, 2.5 years of school. And it was in this building that, I had the experience that I pushed myself, more than I should have, and ended up injuring my lip. And recently they tore it down to make room for a new arts building, because we at my school had just built a brand new music building, which is gorgeous. I'm gonna put some images up in the video, so if anybody's listening in the audio and wants to see these images, get over to YouTube. And they started tearing down this building about 3 or 4 months after I had gotten injured. And this building, if I could put it one way, became a representation of my old self. My old self being someone who did not trust the process of growth, did not trust the work that I was putting in was ultimately helping me get better. My old self felt that I needed to catch up with others in order to be able to have a career in music. And that mindset is what drove me to my injury, to push myself past what I was physically capable of doing, and ended up injuring myself because I did not trust that the work that I was putting in was helping me at the rate that I needed it to be doing. And then as they were tearing it down, I would do my walk. I would go on a walk. This is like, April, May, June of 2023, when they're tearing down and clearing all the wreckage. I would walk past that site and just think how, because of my injury and the experiences I've had since then, that that old me was being cleared away, right? And we had this new music building that was beautiful, had way better facilities. It had, a recording studio with capabilities that we hadn't had in the old building, and a beautiful new concert hall, recital. It's a gorgeous building. If you ever get out to BYU, you should check it out. And, that new building kind of represented my new self, in a lot of ways. And, or at least and I'm getting kind of philosophical here, but it's kind of how I think. It represented who I wanted to become, right? And as they've been building up this new arts building in place of the Harris Fine Arts Center, it's a long process, but it's ultimately creating something that's going to be really beautiful. The renderings for the new arts building actually make me kind of jealous, even though that we have a new music building. The new arts building looks even cooler. And it's been interesting watching the construction companies build up that new arts building, because it's taught me a lot about growth and the growth process. Because I'll share some pictures on the video, but you start with the foundation. You start building up. They actually built part of it. I don't know construction terms, so if I'm butchering this, someone tell me. But it almost looked like they were building it on on parts of the foundation of the old building, and then using that to obviously build this new arts building. And I had an experience the other day when I was walking to class, where I had been walking. I usually go on walks around the construction site, but I hadn't done it in a while, and the building had shot up, like the foundation, like I said, I don't know construction terms, but I guess the skeleton of the building was pretty much all there. And it maybe been a month since I had walked past that area, or at least noticed the progression of the construction site. And it just made me really start to think about, I had been minding my own business. I had been doing the work day to day in my own life. And this building was being built up every single day, little by little, as the days progress and the weeks progress. And then weeks later, I look back and I see how much this building has grown. And I think that the reason why it impacted me so much is because it made me realize that our own musical growth, our own growth as human beings, is exactly the same way. If we were to look at the building every single day, if you were to just stare at the building for an hour, that construction site, you would not see really any growth or any progress, or you'd see very, very little. But if you are just putting your head down and just doing the work every day, you look back and you say, holy cow, look how much I've grown. Holy cow, look how much that building has grown. And that's just how I've learned to look at my progress as a musician, is to not be focusing, not micromanaging it every single day, but just curiously going through each day, finding new ways to grow musically, and then trust that work that I'm putting in is setting me up for success later in the future. I went to New Orleans a few months ago for a jazz conference, and Ted Nash, who plays with the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra, he said that if you're practicing, you're going to get better. Like, you don't have to worry about it. If you're practicing diligently every day, you don't have to worry about if you're getting better or not. It just happens. And there's different nuances with that. You want to making sure that the things that you're doing are efficient, that they're effective, that you're not just messing around all the time. But the principle is that if you're doing the things you need to be doing, you're getting better. And I didn't trust that before. It caused a lot of doubt, self-doubt, self-deprecation in the practice room and outside of the practice room. And so the principle that I want you guys to just know is that if you're micromanaging your playing, if you're micromanaging your practicing, you're not going to see growth. But if you just put your head down and trust the process, you will be able to see that your musicianship will grow exponentially if you just keep doing the things that you need to be doing. And then, just two analogies that have really helped me over the last several months in thinking about this are obviously, the reason why we have this logo of a plant growing inside a music note is because you can't rush a plant growing, right? If you try to overwater it, the plant will die. If you try to dump all the soil you can on it, even if it's the most nutrient-filled soil, if you smother the plant, it's going to die, And Dr. Scott Belk over at Cincinnati College Conservatory of Music, he has a book out, of lip slurs book out for brass players, and he's a funny guy. I love talking to him when I get the chance, but he has this phrase at the beginning of the introduction of one of his lip slur books that says, if you can't take a day off of your practicing, that's the first sign that you're micromanaging your playing. And I'd say that really applies to this principle, is if you can't allow yourself to rest, which is a huge part of the learning process and of the growth process, then that's a sign that you're staring into that building, hour to hour, and you're not letting it just take care of itself as you're doing the things you need to be doing. And the other analogy that I just wanted to share with you that's been on my mind recently that has really helped me learn this principle is if you've ever watched Olympic swimmers, I think the type of stroke that they're doing is the breaststroke. I could be wrong. But like watching Michael Phelps when he was swimming, right, in the Olympics, you don't see him keeping his head above water the entire time to see his destination, right? Like, imagine how silly that would look, right? If you only swam with your head above water, and you're trying to get there as fast as you can, but you're so focused on getting to that finish line that you can't take your eyes off of it. That's not how Olympic swimmers do it, and that's not how us musicians should do it. We can't be hyper analytical of if we're getting to our destination or not. We just have to put our head down and trust that we are doing the right things. And then to further that analogy, he does, he puts his head under the water, and he puts his head up, and he puts his head under, and he puts his head up. So there are times that we need to kind of check in with ourselves and with our goals, with our long-term goals, and say, okay, am I doing the things now that are going to get me to that place? I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying do that, but don't only be analyzing where your location in relation to your destination. Because you need to be doing both, just putting your head down and getting the work done, and then evaluating your progress in order to have that healthy balance, that healthy trust relationship with your musicianship and with your growth. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful. These stories, and I kind of opened up personally to you guys today, but I just hope that in my jumbled up way of thinking, you have been able to find some nuggets that have helped you, that are helping you to trust the process. So just keep on keeping on, guys, and keep trusting the process. Thanks for listening today. I hope you got as much out of it as I did. Make sure you share this with a musician you care about who is going through injury, a music educator in your life, or anyone just trying to make it in life. If you have a suggestion for a guest or topic to cover, shoot me an email at trustprocesspodcast@gmail.com or send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. Before we go, I just want to give a heartfelt thank you and shout out to my team. Daniel Baldwin, who is my audio engineer, Kevin West, who does all music and sound effects for the show, Peyton Womack, our website developer, and my sister, Dana Lovell, who created the logo and promotional materials. We wouldn't have the show without them. So tune in next time for another episode of Trust the Process.